Burami. Break the vision, building perspective, issue dissect, views, mindsets.
Those farmers, those marketers, processors and marketers still earn from agriculture, not only for themselves, but also for Nigeria.
On Burami, the current affairs morning teaser on Vision FM 92.1, where Nigerians discuss Nigeria.
It's very sad. Even the places that have been demolished, they have been allocated to themselves. I can see crisis ahead of us.
There's something definitely wrong with our reward system, and that attracts corruption. How many Nigerians, civil servants, can today be able to put a roof over their head with the salary they are receiving?
Burami, current, expository, daring.
Observing the trends of corruption within the National Assembly, within the executive arm of the government, at the state, at the local government, state and the national level, whatever is the tenure, unless the issue of corruption is being tackled, we attaining the state of development by using a term of government as a yardstick will remain a mirage in Nigeria.
Burami, every weekday at 8 a.m., exclusive to the vision of the nation's capital.
Good morning and thank you so much for joining us on Burami. Today is the Tuesday's edition of Burami on 92.1 Vision FM. Burami is our flagship and current affairs program that is thought-provoking, expository, revealing, incisive, analytic, informative, and action-packed. It comes to you on Vision 92.1 FM every weekday, 8 to 9 in the morning, where national burning issues are discussed. It is an interactive program where the first 30 minutes is between the presenter and the resource person. At the half-hour mark, the phone lines will be opened for callers to make their contribution. Thereafter, the guest will react to the concerns raised by the callers and conclude his submission. How justified is the Northern Elders Forum criticisms of the presidency over rising insecurity? That's our focus on Burami this morning, and our guest is Samelia Musa, a stalwart of the CNG, that's the Coalition of Northern Groups. My producer for today is Bega Anodiran. My name is Omleha Ode. Quick break and then we'll bring you the background as well as introduce our guest. The Northern Elders Forum over the weekend criticized President Muhammadu Buhari and Northern governors, alleging that they have lost control in protecting the people of the region. The forum said Northern governors appear not capable of upholding the constitutional duty they swore to protect the lives and property of the people. The convener of the forum, Professor Ango Abdullahi, who stated this in a statement, said the Northern Elders are alarmed at the rising insecurity of communities and their properties in the north. According to Ango Abdullahi, the recent escalation of attacks by bandits, rustlers and insurgents seems that people of the north are now completely at the mercy of armed gangs who roam towns and villages at will, wreaking havoc. He added that people of the north have never experienced this level of exposure to criminals over attack, who kill, attack, maim, rape, kidnap, burn villages and rustle cattle, while President Buhari issues threats and promises that have no effect. The group therefore demanded an immediate and comprehensive improvement of security in the north. However, in a swift reaction, the presidency urged Nigerians to ignore a statement issued by Professor Ango Abdullahi on behalf of the Northern Elders Forum, NEF, insinuating that security challenges in northern states have overwhelmed both federal and northern state government. In a statement by the President's Special Advisor on Media and Publicity, Femi Adesina, accused the group of being political in its activities. Adesina said the statement by the group is not strange and the President's position on what the group represents remains unchanged. He frowned at the statement, saying Abdullahi was only speaking for himself as he continues to constitute a mere irritant and featherweight. According to the presidential aide, Northern Elders Forum is a quasi-organization that boasts of no credible membership and its leader is akin to a general without troops. The president's aide insisted that the NEF were merely waving a flag at half-mast, stressing that its comments should be disregarded. He, however, stated that President Buhari has steadily and steadfastly focused on the task of retooling Nigeria. Now to the pertinent question. How justified is Northern Elders Forum criticism of the presidency over rising insecurity? Like I told you this morning, our guest is Samaila Musa, a stalwart. Samaila Musa, a stalwart of the CNG. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
All right. So getting on with our conversation this morning, how justified would you say the Northern Elders Forum criticism of the president over rising insecurity is?
Well, first, let me even start with the statement released by the presidency. I think it's uncalled for to even release such statements at a time like this when the nation should be grieving over, the incessant killings all over the place, especially in northern Nigeria. On what basis are they criticizing the statement of the Northern Elders Forum? This is baseless, actually, because it's not like we're dead. For some of us who are fortunate to be alive, we are seeing what is happening. So when you say we should disregard such statement, are you saying it doesn't exist? These things are fictions and they don't exist, or what? These are all over the place. The media is carrying it, even though it's been downplayed at some point, but it's visible. Everyone knows this is what is going on. The killing is every day. And it's not stopping. We don't even know when it's going to stop because the government is not ready. It's not willing. There's no any willingness from the part of the government to stop these killings. So what is the essence of such statement? I think such statement is even an insult on the sensibility of Nigerians in the first place. So they shouldn't even be coming up. They should be apologizing for their failure to secure the lives of citizens rather than uttering such statement. Is an insult.
Okay, by what you just said right now, you just said the government is not willing.
There's no willingness. We can't see it. Look, before this government came into place, we know their utterances, especially the president asking President Goodluck Jonathan to resign because of killings all over the place. And at that time, all we had on our hands was the issue of Boko Haram. Now it's beyond Boko Haram. Boko Haram has not stopped. There's the issue of bandits killing people. You don't even know what they want. They don't even have any demand. They're just killing. You have cattle rustlers. We have all those things. You have kidnappers all over the place. It wasn't this bad in previous government. So if this government is coming out now to be making this kind of statement, it's really sad. It's saddening, actually.
All right, so way beyond the reaction of the Northern Elders Forum, because that's what you're reacting to.
Yes.
But how would you react to this, the statement that was issued by the presidency?
Yeah, well, the reaction is, like I said earlier, is baseless. It doesn't call for. They should be telling Nigerians what they are planning to do, because it's very obvious now they don't have any plan in place. You understand? But they should come up and apologize that we have failed you in regards to security. But now this is our plan. They should go back to the drawing board and come up with something that is real and say, okay, this is our actions. This is what we intend to achieve in the next 3 months. This is what we want to achieve beyond the 3 months. This maybe in phases. This is what we want to do. This is what we want to do. They are not telling us anything they are doing. There's nothing. There's absolutely nothing. You hear of bandits or rustlers move on bikes, about 100 plus of them on bikes, moving from one community to the other, killing people, maiming, and all of that. And for more than 3 hours in some cases, there is any traces of any security operatives in place to say, okay, we combated them on so point or so point, or we try to stop them, but we were overpowered. There's not even anything like that. There was no any confrontation whatsoever. These people are having their free day, operating at will. Whatever they want, they get it. Because it's not visible where you can't trace it to whether there's police or military or anything in place to protect the lives of those people.
All right, but to what extent would you say criticisms like this will help in the fight against the situations of killing, maiming, and rape?
Well, it all depends on the government. If they are willing, just like I said, there's no willingness. But if they are willing, it will go a long way. Because, you see, it's a wake-up call. The issue of saying the one particular group that is saying these things is political is balderdash. It doesn't call for this. It is not even supposed to come up in the first place. They should tackle this issue. If they are listening right now, they should go back, like I said earlier, to the drawing board. Say, okay, people are shouting all over the place. People are crying, whether the people who are saying it, whether you perceive them to be in opposition or not. What they're saying, is it the truth or they are lying? So, but if it is truth, so what do we do about it? Where do we go from here? How do we stop them? You understand? So, it's not like a case where it's not founded. These are founded allegations, These are what everybody in the North knows is happening. But if they decide to cage themselves in the villa and say, we don't want to know what's happening, we don't want to know who dies or who doesn't, is a different thing. But if they really have the compassion of the citizenry at the back of their minds, I think this should be a wake-up call to say, well, let's begin to look inwards. What's happening within the security system? Who is manning what per time? So I think to that extent, they probably might make progress. That's if they are willing to do that.
What would you actually say is responsible for this rise of criminality in Nigeria, especially in the north?
Well, what I can say is that in every nation you will find criminals. But it's the responsibility of the government to put their foot on the ground and say, no, you're not going to thrive. You understand? In those nations where you have adequate security system, this kind of things doesn't happen. So it's is now a deficit on part of the government that is allowing all these things to thrive. If they want to do something about it, they will stop them. You can't tell me that these people, what's their numbers in the first place? These are just, they are just a fraction of even those communities where they are thriving. But because they are armed and the government is not doing anything about it. So criminality will thrive anywhere the government is not willing to do anything. Okay,
so when you say the government is not willing, we've heard reports and then we are aware, or we see stories around the government deploying troops, and then they've also deployed equipment to these areas. Are this not commitment? Is it not a form of commitment by the government to tackle these issues?
What kind of commitment? Because if a government is not reviewing its goals per time, there's no commitment. Because if you put something in place and it's not working, it's not yielding, rather things are escalating, those crimes are escalating, is it not enough for you to go back to the drawing board and say, look, this is not working, so what do we do next? So you need to review your goals, you need to reassess your goals and see, what have you achieved in the area of security? We've achieved nothing, so what do we do from here? Do we need to change the heads of all these security agencies or what? These people are thriving. I don't even know whether some people are hoodwinking the president to believe that they are doing their jobs the way they should be doing it. I really can't tell, but we're in confusion as well because we can't understand what's going on.
All right, we'll take a break here, and then once we come back, we'll still continue our conversation with Samaila Musa right here in the studio. We'll be right back. Join us again.
Constructive, appealing, engaging, people, issues, and dimension on Burami. The converging point for Nigerians at breakfast on the Burami table. Join the wagon and be more.
Vision 92.1.
Burami.
Thank you so much for joining us right back on Burami this morning. How justified is the Northern Elders Forum criticism of the presidency over rising insecurity? That's still our focus. And we still have Samaila Musa, a stalwart of the CNG, in the studio with us. Okay, yeah, so before we took that break, we were talking a little bit about the service chiefs. And then some people have actually called for the removal of service chiefs to give way for fresh ideas and new approaches. Do you share this line of thought?
Yeah, of course. Of course I do. Because if let's even forget about the fact that, you know, some of them, their tenures expired, you know, if they are not performing their duties as they should be removed, and let's try some other persons. If they are bereft of ideas as to what to do at this time or before now even, you know, they should be removed. And that's our stand even in the CNG. Why is the president still keeping them in place? What is the basis? People are dying in hundreds, you know, in thousands, and yet you feel there's no any justification to remove them, aside even the fact that some of them, their tenures has expired. You know, some of them should be in retirement right now. Let's try inject some fresh blood into the system. Let them bring fresh ideas. Let them, I mean, people who have studied the what's happening from the background and say, okay, now we've seen where some of our bosses have failed, that this is what we are bringing on board. So why are they keeping them at the expense of people's lives?
Okay, and then how about those people that are on the background making contributions also to the bosses and then still making sure business is run?
Yeah, well, but you know, you need to understand, in most cases, you don't even have a say in most cases when your boss, this is what he wants to believe in. This is, no matter what your effort, if your boss want to downplay that, it's going to be downplayed, you know, and that's going to stick. You understand? So if the boss doesn't want your idea to thrive or to sail through, it wouldn't. You know, so the people who are observing or who are working at the background, there's a limit to what they can do because they are not at the helm of affairs. You know, so that's the challenge with that.
All right, what's your thoughts on community policing? Can you say it can effectively tackle the surge of insecurity in the north?
Yes, well, to some extent, I think these have some form of community policing in place. You know, but to what extent or how effective or what kind of orientation are they giving the people? You understand, to effectively do this community policing appropriately. You know, there's no any sort of orientation as far as I know, you know, to say, okay, this is what we can do. But you see, in some cases, people out of frustration will have to come together, or they have been coming together in some cases to say, look, government is not ready to protect our lives. So what we need to do is to protect our lives by ourselves. You know, so in some cases, people even go to the extent of carrying arms, which shouldn't be the case, but they don't have a choice. So the community policing must to be properly situated, you know, with proper orientation as to how to go about it, the do's and the don'ts, so people will know, you know. But the number one problem is the government is not telling people anything, and they are not protecting them, and yet they are not telling them anything. So they are keeping mute. So in so many cases, people felt, oh, so that we won't be arrested for taking the laws into our hands, because nobody is telling us to do community policing. So they just fold their arms and watch, because the same what happened to the X and Y in the past, that said, okay, no, you're not supposed to take the laws into your hands, so you get arrested because you did this, you did that. So many cases, people just let it fly like that.
But these are issues happening within their community, and they are also victims to this situation. So why let it fly?
Yeah, so because they are also afraid, because they don't know the reaction of the government. We've had cases of where people go into communities, you know, maim them and kill them, and because some persons in the community stood their ground and tried to retaliate, they got arrested for it. That no, you should have been called. You should call the authority. You shouldn't have killed. So that's the challenge. Okay,
what's your take on amnesty that some state governments gave to bandits, even though it has not worked to stop the attacks?
Well, that amnesty is nothing to write home about. I don't know who they are granting amnesty to, whether they are granting the amnesty to the wrong people, or the governments of those states are violating some of the things they signed in the agreement. But sincerely, I don't see any reason why the amnesty issue should be coming up at this time. These people should be wiped out.
Okay.
Yes, they should be wiped out, because it's because of the laxity on the part of the security operatives, and that's why they're thriving. And because they see that, okay, there's no any form of force in place to stop us from what we're doing, so they keep doing it. In fact, in so many cases, there are no gunshots, except if the community are resisting some of their attacks. There are no gunshots because they know they're going to thrive. Nobody's going to stop them on the way. So what is the amnesty all about? The amnesty in another way is a way of siphoning money. You bring out criminals and you give them money, 200 million, 500 million, to go and do what? To go and buy more ammunitions. There are instances where you need to grant amnesty, because you need to know what is the basis of this fight. What is the justification for this? So you need to say, okay, because you have been hurt, we understand that that's why you took to arms, and that's why you're fighting this cause. So this is what we're going to do. State your demands. We're going to meet your demands. Where the leadership? Where do you stay? These people don't have address. They don't have anywhere. They just move around, enjoy killing and maiming people and raping in so many instances. And these are the same people who you are supposed to stamp out and wipe out, are the one you are sitting down to empower them also, that they continue thriving in their business.
Okay, in your words of wipe out, would there not be is there not supposed to be a room for rehabilitation or something?
That is if they are willing to. The moment you notice you've granted amnesty and it doesn't stop, then there's no point sitting down with them anymore. You have to go for a superior force to say, well, because we felt we should sit down with you for a dialogue, but if that's not working, then we need to protect the citizens. So what do we do next? We have to fight back. We have to protect the citizens. You're criminals. They shouldn't be condoned. It's sickening when you see people who have maimed, who have killed. Then you call them to a round table and say, you have killed about 500 people. No problem. You can go free. Please take this 500 million as compensation that you have killed 500 people. We know we can't do anything to you, but take this 500 million and stop killing others. You understand? And then you feel those kind of people are going to stop. They're not going to stop. How are you granting amnesty? You arrested some people in the war front. Not that they came out to say, oh, please, we regretted what we have done in the past. They were arrested right in the scene of crime, and you brought them and you say, we shouldn't kill these people, or we shouldn't jail them. Please, what we can do now is to beg them to stop.
Probably it might not have been a sugar-coated conversation like that, but the state government have security votes. Would you say the governors have shown enough commitment in using this to stop banditry in their states?
Well, to that extent, because I'm not a part of their government or their governance in those states, I wouldn't say what they are doing with the money. I wouldn't say exactly, or I won't be able to tell you exactly what they are doing. But to a large extent, if I give you money for you to go to the market, for instance, to go and buy some food items, probably give you 10,000 naira, and you came back, and what you have in your nylon bag is just like maybe a mudu of rice. There's no justification for what you have brought from the market. So how do you explain what you have gone to the market to do out of the 10,000 naira you are given? So if there's no result, everybody is after result. You understand? So if you're collecting money from me and there's no result for it to show for it, you need to come back and explain to me, how are you doing it?
All right, so the Northern Elders Forum actually alleged that state governors appear helpless and cannot solve the security challenges despite this security, the huge security vote. How best can this menace be addressed? Yeah, you see, it's a top-to-bottom approach. You understand? If the presidency or the president is not willing to do anything, the others will also be sleeping. You can't have a firm president. When this president was coming into power, the perception was different from what we're saying today. Everywhere, everybody was jittery. Even the people who were going to be sworn in as governors were sitting up. Everybody was running up and down that, man,
the president that is coming on board is a no-nonsense man, blah, 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 blah. But after a while, they saw it that, look, come on, this guy is not just a relaxed guy. He's just a perception that doesn't exist. So what do? They all start throwing parties all around the place. So if the head is sick, then there's a problem with the body.
All right, but would you say we have actually gotten to the extent where, as Nigerians, we should seek international assistance to help address the security challenges that are seemingly overwhelming?
Yeah, the problem with that is because they are not even willing to accept that there's a problem in the first place. And that's because of the issue of willingness. They keep living in denial. These things don't exist as far as they're concerned because they are protected in the four walls of Aso Rock. So it doesn't exist. So somebody who felt something doesn't exist, it doesn't need to seek for help. Because it's not even admitted in the first place that this thing is in existence. So that's the problem. But if they will admit, this thing will be tackled headlong. If they will admit to the citizenry that we have failed, this is the way forward. This is what we want to do. If you have contributions, please make your contributions on how we can tackle these issues. We ourselves, we realize where we have failed. Then they can begin to see, okay, in these areas, we might not be able to tackle this except we call for help. But of course, they are still living in denial. So how do they call for any help? They're not going to do that.
What roles did you say traditional rulers, leaders, and then religious leaders can play to address the security issues? Well,
to a large extent, they are also victims. Like you see in so many communities. In fact, one of the first places they go to is the head of those communities. They either kidnap the head of the community or his children or kill him on the spot before even going ahead to do anything. So they are also helpless. But to a large extent, if the government is willing, there are provisions that were made that will make these people to know that, okay, they have some backing from the government to do X, to do Y, so why not? They will want to do it, but they are also helpless as the situation is playing out. What help can someone who is not protected render when his community is invaded by 100 plus bandits with guns, fully armed? There's no any help. Except in some few cases, we had some of them have some kind of security infrastructure in place where they get some of this information even before the bandits arrive or before the cattle rustlers arrive. And they relay the same information to the government who are supposed to take appropriate action. But nothing was done. These people will eventually come and, go in operation without being stopped by any security. In fact, nobody will even confront them. So they are helpless as we are now.
We're still in Burami on Vision FM. How justified is the Northern Elders Forum criticism of the presidency over rising insecurity? We've been hearing the voice of Samaila Musa, and then we'll take a break now. Once we come back, we'll still continue as well as take your phone calls and make you a part of today's conversation. We'll be back. Join us again.
Burami. Break the vision, building perspective, issue dissect, views, mindsets.
Those farmers, those marketers, processors and marketers still earn from agriculture, not only for themselves, but also for Nigeria.
On Burami, the current affairs morning teaser on Vision FM 92.1, where Nigerians discuss Nigeria.
It's very sad. Even the places that have been demolished, they have been allocated to themselves. I can see crisis ahead of us.
There's something definitely wrong with our reward system, and that attracts corruption. How many Nigerians, civil servants, can today be able to put a roof over their head with the salary they are receiving?
Burami, current, expository, daring.
Observing the trends of corruption within the National Assembly, within the executive arm of the government, at the state, at the local government, states and the national level, whatever is the tenure, unless the issue of corruption is being tackled, we attaining the state of development by using a term of government as a yardstick will remain a mirage in Nigeria.
Burami, every weekday at 8 a.m., exclusive to the vision of the nation's capital.
This is Burami on Vision FM. Thank you so much for joining us right back. How justified is the Northern Elders Forum criticism of the presidency over rising insecurity? The phone lines are available right now for you to call in and make your contribution. Try to stick to our focus. Don't go beyond that and stick to 2 minutes so that you share your thoughts briefly, and we'll move on with our conversation. You can also join the conversation on social media at Vision FM Nigeria on Twitter, on Instagram, and drop your comments below the post for today's discussion. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Good to have you. Name and location.
My name is Muhammad Kabir. I'm calling you from Newcastle.
Please go with your thoughts.
Yeah. You see, this issue is long overdue. According to our guests there, all we explained was exactly what is happening in Nigeria. One, before you can tackle any problem, you first of all accept that there is this problem. If you have not accepted that there is a problem, then you will not provide a solution to it. Or rather, you accept yes, there is a problem after many people have been complaining, but you are not willing to solve the problem. So if you are not willing to solve the problem will not be solved. Rather, it's combined demand. All these things are physical something. These people that are coming to terrorize Nigerians, they are people that we can see, or in the environment they are terrorizing, they can see them. They are not spiritual something. It's physical. Meanwhile, some of the villagers are inside farm or one way or the other. They saw these people coming, whereby they run to the officers or something. At the end of the day, nothing concrete will be done to those people. So definitely there's conspiracy somewhere. Because as far as I'm concerned, the recent one is that happened, people saw those bandits coming in number. And all this while we have been told that if there's any demand from defense for equipment or what have you, president will give money, this one. Then if you give money for those things and the result is not coming and you are not making families, then who is to be called for? It's see him, the presidency that Nigerians will call for. So that's this protest from the northern is not overdue. So they should do the right thing before all Nigerians will support this process because we are tired of this thing.
Thank you so much.
And God bless Nigeria. Thank you.
All right, we appreciate your contribution this morning. 080-911-27352. That's the number for you to call and then get to share your thoughts with us. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Mariam.
Name and location.
My name is Abubakar Mohammed from Yanya.
Please go on.
Good morning to the guests in the studio. Now, there is nothing wrong, it is not out of place for the so-called northern elders to come out and criticize the government over the insecurity bedeviling the northern part of the country or bedeviling the country. It is normal. And just like he has said, it is a wake-up call for the government to do more, which they are doing. What is unfortunate about the whole situation is that we all know that we have crisis at hand. We know the situation of our country. We knew that not only the northern part of the country, even Abuja was becoming a problem for people to even go out in this country. And when this government comes in, because of the level of confidence that we have in them, things have subsided. At the same people who are saying the government is doing nothing today, when the things subside, they didn't praise the government. The same Ango Abdullahi who failed to manage a university in the north is today criticizing a president who is managing over 200 million citizens. And what I expect us to do is to support the security men, support them with prayers, support them with information so that they can do more. But when you go back to your drawing board and sit down and say the government is doing nothing, that is why you are saying two wrongs are going to do nothing. Two wrongs will never do right. Now, if you say the government has refused to acknowledge that there is problem and they are doing nothing, it means you are speaking Bangladesh. The president has gone to Cameroon, he has gone to
Hello. Sorry about that, Abubakar Mohammed. Thank you for your thoughts you had already shared on this conversation. You too, make your thoughts known or drop a comment on social media at Vision FM Nigeria. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Amila. My name is Abdullahi Sharutu, and I'm calling from Party. See, how will it be justified, it's taken by the elders, when at least as independent, when the patriarchs, great Nigerians like Sir Ahmadu Bello, great Nigerians like Sir Tafawa Balewa, and the last of them was Aminu Kano. Immediately when these guys left this edge, Northern Nigeria lost all it could have as at least direction, because what we later have after the death of these great Nigerians and the patriarchs was that the leaders that were produced in Northern Nigeria did not at least know how to go about as a leadership and governance. And that's exactly why what their statement connotes is that they try to at least laugh at themselves. Because the issue is that if they are looked at the antecedents of what we are coming from, what has been done by those leaders, and what they are being at, there have been a lot of high level of hypocrisy against the people of Northern Nigeria by this elite. And that's why this confusion and this state of confusion that is beginning to at least ensue is a result of they not understanding what they should do. And that's why they are acting on the spot of the moment. Why should people act on the spot of the moment? When the first thing first, they are not supposed to at least even do the needful. When the advisory manner was increasing, none of them, because of that culture of silence, they decide on their own to at least keep mute. And that exactly has escalated to all these problems we're having in Northern Nigeria. So they must at least sit there and see how they can at least resolve this issue. Who will speak for the North? Nobody. Because those leaders are not at least there to at least speak for North. And that's why sometimes if they speak, I don't even want to at least consider the presidency. And that's exactly why I agree with the statement made from the presidency. Until Northern leaders decide of what to do and what should be done in the near future, then there is going to be a lot of more confusion, because you ask yourself, this person is agitating, this person is killing. What is their mission? What are they doing it for? The agitation in Northern Nigeria, can't you see it? Can't you differentiate it? People are not killing themselves there, and they are getting what they are looking for. But yet, nothing is happening. There's a high level conspiracy by leaders in the North and actually destroy this on Northern Nigeria. So this level will continue until they decide to say this is what they need to do. That's my contribution. Have a good and bye-bye for now, Omela.
Thank you so much for your contribution this morning, Abdullahi Sharabutu. How justified is the Northern Elders Forum criticism of the presidency over rising insecurity? Hello, good morning.
Sorry, good morning, Omeleha.
Good to hear from you. Name and location.
I've not finished my statement when I was cut off. I don't know what
all right, Abubakar Mohammed. 1 minute, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Omeleha. So, like Abdullah has said, these same people who crafted themselves and crowd themselves as Northern elders, where were they when poverty was ravaging the North? Where were they when every land in the North was taken away by criminals? Where were they when there's nothing like developmental progress going on in this country? Now we have had a president who is willing and able to control so many things. All he needs is to be supported. Then you just come up to make a wild political statement.
All right, thank you so much for your addition.
You need to support the government and not
thank you so much.
People against the system. Thank you.
All right, we appreciate your addendum right there. All right, you to still share your thoughts right with us or drop a comment on social media at Vision FM Nigeria. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Name and location.
My name is Dr. Umar Abubakar, calling from Guabalada.
Please go with your thoughts.
Thank you very much for this topic. Well, the question of Northern Elders Observation, they are entitled to their opinion. But let me align myself quickly to the immediate caller, who observed that there was once upon a time that the entire Northern Nigeria was ravaged by Boko Haram militancy. This president has come to stall those, and today we are free to move into the markets, garages, mosques and churches to observe our prayers. No kudos we are had from these so-called Northern elders to encourage the president to do more. But it is good to criticize. Now what I want to say here quickly is that all these commentaries re-echo the sad testimony and represented the misconstrued assumption that the 36 state governors have virtually nothing to do with security breaches in their state. It is the present business to fix security in even the remotest part of this country. I am honestly worried with this kind of proposition for a country recognized as federal, not unitary, and whose 36 state governors receive monthly allocation of several billions as security votes for being the chief security officers of their respective states. I think there is a serious disconnect. There is a serious constitutional lacuna that needs immediate filling up. Large resources allocated to individuals or, allocated to officers or to state governors that are expected to be chief security officers of their state, who are not expected to do anything, or who, cannot do anything because there is a president and commander-in-chief who should do everything to protect everyone in Nigeria.
All right,
then why the allocation? Why the allocation? Why are we allocating such money to chief security officers, so-called?
Thank you so much for your thoughts this morning.
President that can protect. I think we need to readdress these issues.
Right.
Honestly speaking.
Thank you so much. Concern. All right, I appreciate your concern and all that you've raised on the program this morning. You to still share your thoughts right here. How justified is the Northern Elders Forum criticism of the presidency over rising insecurity? Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Speaker.
Good to have you. Name and location.
Yes. I was yesterday welcome. I'm calling from also Father.
Please go on.
Thank you. The reason why we are saying there is politics is that, if I remember during the Yaradua time, so after the date of Yaradua, when he was arrested, that you mentioned that they have arrested the Boko Haram leader, that Yusuf Omorisu. He just go ahead and kill him. I think Yaradua is alive. Listen, we don't have lack of this year. Because the issue in Nigeria, there's not any time during the military there, crisis lasts for 1 year. Lasts for 1 year. But now, since the date of Yaradua, Habibi is alive. You know how to control this thing. But after somebody inside the office, we don't know how come this is going to be. It's just increasingly up to over 6 years. This is increasing. It's just coming to Buhari. That's the thing is now going down. That's why we say it's political. Because Abacha said that any crisis that lasts for 24 hours, government know about it. Then how come this one? Not 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. Why? Is there any answer to that they give? Which means they know what. If you remember what happened in Kaduna last week, after the government of Kaduna State is going to eradicate all the bandits from the state. And recently last week, what happened in the state? Where were the people? The decision he made? Was he sleeping? So why is this happening in Nigeria? They don't say it's policy. This is just a plan Nigeria. That is not a policy. Let's come to this and so that we know Nigeria is living in peace. This thing actually becomes a worrisome issue. So that's my concern. Have a nice day,
All right, Sani Abdullah, thank you so much for your own contribution on the program this morning. We're still taking your own thoughts right here, so you get to share with us or drop a comment on social media at Vision FM Nigeria or 33538. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, Omneha.
Good to have you. Name and location.
Yeah, good morning, Alai Samaila.
Good morning, thank you. Yes.
Good morning, Alai Samaila, and welcome. My name is Bala Muhammad. I'm calling from Zuba Foods Market. I think it is more than a welcome idea. But then the question here is, why is it only Professor Ango Abdullahi is the only person, a standing figure in the North today, that is challenging so many issues that are not right, that are happening in the North? Where are those, our own elders that we used to know they are existing in hundreds? Why are they so silent over what is happening in the North? We have X this, X that, X this. Why are they so silent? Why is it Professor is the only outstanding figure, and he has totally fell out of the government because he is the only person criticizing what is happening in the North. And our so-called elders, they are so silent about it. Why? I think somebody should answer that question. And about the president, if I want to advise him, the president, sir, we voted for you, and we voted for you out of credence because we know you can do it. You are a retired general, sir. And I would advise you, sir, I hope you're listening, sir. Why don't you start paying on scheduled visit to all this northeast, northwest, to know exactly what is happening, Instead of sitting in the villa waiting for results to come to you. Anybody can come and feed you with any information because they know you are not going to go and check. Why don't you start paying on scheduled visit to all these places? Go to the camps of this war-torn zone that the junior officers are there. Sit with them. Look, you junior officers, how are you flaring up in this war? What is your welfare? What kind of weapons are you using? You are a general, sir. Collect most of the weapons. Look at them. Are they weapons that you have been giving money for them to go and buy? If it is not true, you get a first class information from all those junior officers in the war front. When you come back, you sit down. You recharge. If anybody is found wanting, either a service chief or commandant, drop him. I think that would equally ginger these people that are there, the commandants and the service chiefs, to wake up. If they are in their slumber, they will wake up because they will be scared that at any time the president might pay an unscheduled visit. I think we will start having changes.
Thank you very much for your contribution this morning. We'll take our final break for the morning, and then once we come back, we'll still take your calls and then get back to our resource person. We'll be back. Join us again.
Constructive, appealing, engaging, people, issues, and dimension on Burami. The converging point for Nigerians at breakfast on the Burami table. Join the wagon and be more.
Vision 92.1.
Burami.
Thank you so much for joining us right back on Burami. If you are just joining in, how justified is the Northern Elders Forum criticism of the presidency over rising insecurity? From our social media platform, Chris Simeon sent in a message. He said, it's not the first time Northern Elders Forum criticizing PMB's government on the alarming rate of insecurity in the country. RY Youth Forum has done that too. Let's keep sentiments aside and call a spade a spade. Innocent lives are wasted day by criminal elements. He promised Nigerians to tackle insecurity to the core, but Chris Simeon says he has failed us. May God save us. Thank you so much for your contribution on the program this morning. You too still get to share your thoughts by calling 080-911-27352 or send a message via any of our social media platforms. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning. How are you? My name is Ibrahim Idris. I'm calling you from Dutton Gargiapo.
Please turn down the volume on your radio set, Dahiro Idris.
Okay, I'm here now.
Please go on.
Please, my own advice, I don't want...
Sorry about that. Please, when you call in, do us a favor, turn down the volume on your radio set and then make your contribution known on the program. We'll still get to share your thoughts. Sorry about that, Dahiro. You can still call in and share your thoughts. Hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Omelia.
Good to have your name and location, please.
Thank you, my name is Abdul Cheja. I commend the man in the studio to have come out to speak the truth. Anger Abdullahi remain a force we must have to respect as a professor of academy, who in his capacity has done well by breeding most of the professors we have today in the north. He couldn't have done more than outside his capacity as requested by previous scholars. A doctor also called him. I listened to him. In my research, once you commit type 1 error by using wrong alternative in the place of your hypothesis, of course it means that you have misadvised the usage of your decision. Therefore, it requires that you go back to the drawing board and start afresh. That means when Buhari came, he actually had the potential to do well. He did well, but it has failed. It shows that the strategy they are using are not working any longer. If you have watched AIT where Dr. Dama Rabbi came out to speak, he is from Katrina. People are killed, and he's asked if the people who were said to have been killed by the military are spirits that once you kill them, they need to see the corpse to be convinced that Buhari, either as the president of the nation, is being misinformed. He is not being told the real truth. So why would people be shouting, saying that it's politics? If it is politics and if something is going on, won't you go after the people who are causing it to be politics? I don't know how the way we could make contribution in this program. The fact on ground is that people are dying, they cannot go to their houses, they are living in IDPs, and it affects their lives. I'm from Kogi State, and I am not from Katsina, but I feel empathy with them because I'm a human being. People's lives are being wasted, and somebody is telling me I must stick to shouting all is well because Muhammad Buhari is in government. Angabla is shouted when the governor, President Jonathan was there, and when Boko Haram was killing, we were killing people. He shouted the same with other people. So why would people be saying that he should not be talking? And the presidency, as far as Abechino is concerned, he should be guided in his utterances because he cannot just be talking because he's occupying position and he's paid and he lastly and they largely go to his house and sleep with two eyes closed when people cannot sleep in their places. Please, we should be cautious in the way we talk and so that we can grow and unite our people, and after here we should give account of how we live our life before God. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your own contribution also this morning, Abdullah Cheja. We still get a thought or two, and then we get back to our resource person in the studio this morning. How justified is the Northern Elders Forum criticism of the presidency over rising insecurity? Hello, good morning.
Good morning, my dear sister.
Good to have you. Name and location.
This is Michael Shimashika calling from Nyanya.
Please go on.
Yes, in regards to the insecurity that is going on in the country, Nigeria is just, you are taking the truth, they look at you, and they look at that statement as hate speech. I was in Nyanya police station one day, there for a case. A young man was brought in. He stole one handset, and they arrested him. They brought him inside the police station. The guy was there. They brought food for somebody. While the other police went to bring another person from the cell, the one that collected the food standing on the counter kept the food behind him. Before that one realized, as he was communicating with other people that are at the counter, this young man that stole handset took this food that they brought for somebody inside the cell and started eating. They brought the other man. This police was trying to look for the food. He couldn't find the food. He was saying, sir, am I not the one that kept food here? They realized I saw the other one eating. Before we realized, the police said, sir, is it the food that they brought for somebody inside the cell? You still stole it here? You stole outside, they brought you inside the police station, you still stole. The kind of beating that guy received, and the guy was shouting, Zaka Keshini, Zaka Keshini. You know Zaka Keshini? What that means? Hungry is killing him. Let me tell you the truth. Nigeria has nowhere to go. We take nothing. If you give employment to these people, Nigeria has no viable project on ground that this youth, that more than 1.8 million youth that have been graduated on a yearly basis, have nowhere to go and fall. Even in agriculture, they are failed. There is nothing to show that this is what we are producing and we are challenging the international community. How can we solve this problem on ground? I kept telling them, cultism is rising every day. Banditry and so many kinds of crimes. You can never, I challenge Nigerian government if they can come out publicly and challenge me that yes, they can solve this banditry, Boko Haram and the rest of them. All of them are looking for money. Give them what they're supposed to do and generate that money. Let me tell you, they will silence all these things.
All right, thank you so much.
Must we keep buying arms and keep killing our citizens, say that we are killing Boko Haram, we are killing banditry and the rest? Enjoy them and see. We get government idea, they don't want to work with it.
We appreciate your thoughts.
When Nigeria gets there, we will see.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much. That's Michael Ashimashiga. Thank you for your thoughts. Okay, we get back to our resource persons. Samaila Musa is still in the studio. You've heard Nigerians. You've heard all their different views and opinions. So you may want to react with that, as well as if you think government should enact more stringent penalties for banditry and terrorism. Probably, would you say it would help to serve as deterrent?
Okay, quickly, let me react to some of the callers in. Number one is we need to understand that a president is one of his responsibility is to direct or rather create some sense of leadership or the direction to go. If you said some of the northern elders should have been giving other people a sense of direction, these are people who most of them have never held any position in government. For some of them who held positions in government, for one reason or the other, they are not talking. But that does not mean that the people who have the compassion of people at heart shouldn't say anything. We shouldn't all sleep and face the same direction. That some persons are not talking shouldn't mean others shouldn't talk. that something is wrong, that you have not lost anyone, is not a basis for you to sit on the fence that nothing is happening. People are dying every day. These are no exaggerations. At the level of CNG, we get so many calls on daily basis. People are crying and begging us that, please, is there a way we can help them? That the government is not doing anything. And if the government is doing something, there's no results to show for it. So it's as good as not doing anything. You send a child to school, he said the child told you that he's reading, but he got F9 all through. It's as if he's not doing anything. Even if the boy is reading in his book in his school, because there's no result to show for it, it means it's not doing. So we should not sit on the fence because we have not lost anyone. You might be in your home in Abuja because Abuja seems to be about the safest place in anywhere close to the north. But at some point, I also am aware of how people come out of malls and they get kidnapped. That it does not affect you, or it doesn't happen to your family members yet, does not mean everything is right. Because if yesterday was someone's turn, tomorrow it might be your turn. That people speak out against the president, especially about the security issues, does not mean that they hate him. Don't let us put sentiment into it. You might love. So many of us campaigned for this government before they came into power. Professor Abdullahi was among the elders that went with Maitama Sule to go and show their solidarity, their support to President Muhammadu Buhari, even before he got elected. And when he got elected, they had the first set of callers to the defense house, to go and pay him a courtesy call. That things are going wrong shouldn't mean that people shouldn't say anything because he's a president from the north. Everybody is keeping mute, but people are dying. We are getting calls every day. And on part of the CNG, some of the things we felt we should do, because we can't carry arms, there's no way we can help people, is that a protest is kickstarting today in Katsina. Probably by 10 a.m., that protest should be heading to the Emir of Katsina's house. From there, they'll be proceeding to the government house. These are some of the things we're trying to do to alleviate the people, because there's nothing we can do. So we shouldn't sit down in our confines and believe, I think I saw it on social media, 120 people died in Katsina 2 days ago, and all of that. But Buhari is doing everything he can. No, that's not the right way to go. We know how we shouted from the north during the last regime of President Goodluck Jonathan, even though it hasn't gotten this bad. But now we are keeping quiet because we felt, no, it's our own. And that is the problem of Nigeria. Hypocrisy is one of the major problems in Nigeria. When President Goodluck was there, some people from the south felt, no, don't talk bad about him. Everything he does is right because he's from the south. Now, Buhari, whatever he does, security, no, nobody dies, blah, 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 because he's from the north. No, it shouldn't be like that. We should have passion. We should have compassion about people. People are dying, and we are talking about why is Ango Abdullahi saying people are dying? Is it that people are not dying? The government should come out and say, we made an investigation and we realized that nobody died. It should have been something they are talking about, not making unfounded defenses and saying, of course, because as far as I'm concerned, what February additional said is balderdash. Because how do you say, you are not addressing the issue the person is raised? You're throwing the baby out with the bad water. Did you address the issue? Address the issue and say, the government actually realized that this is what we're doing, even though that statement shouldn't be coming from people like Professor Abdullahi. It should have been coming from people who we know they are our own.
All right, thank you so much.
So these are the issues.
All right, thank you so much. That's our resource person for today, Samaila Musa. Thank you so much for coming on Burami this morning.
Thank you for having me.
He is a stalwart of the CNG, the Coalition of Northern Groups. He's been a resource person on the program as we looked at how justified is the Northern Elders Forum criticism of the presidency over rising insecurity. Thank you, Mohammed Kabir, Abubakar Mohammed, Abdullahi Sharabutu, Umar Abubakar, Sani Abdullahi, Bala Mohammed, Chris Simeon, Daira Idris, Abdullah Cheja, Michael Ashimashiga. Thank you all for your contribution this morning on Burami. Our producer for today is Wega Onodiran. We say a big thank you to him, and my name is Omleha Ode. Good morning.